Rick, whenever you're ready.
Okay, I call the meeting to order. All members are present, plus one student rep. There was one addition to the agenda, which we'll cover in a minute. Approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Joe moves.
A second.
Thomas seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The agenda is approved. No public comment tonight. Consent agenda. Janelle.
So I'll start with Cheryl and see if there's anything from board bills that you'd like to report.
Everything was pretty much easy to read through and everything was kosher. I just noticed that we got some new clocks.
Oh, throughout the building?
Yes. We replaced some of the ones that didn't work.
And there's still more to come, but yep.
Pretty
Bits and pieces.
negligible bill, but I just noticed it as I was going through. And the fire risers for the elementary school came in.
Yes.
That's exciting. Put in some new, safer, more usable risers.
For sure. Long time
That's
coming.
perfect, and they're here.
Mhm.
That was perfect.
Beyond that, there's just two personnel items and then the donations received. We had, so I mentioned that we've been tracking our donors choose donations. And so there are two that came in, one for Mrs. Rugemer's class and another for Mrs. Heck's class. So again, we're grateful that our teachers are writing grants and using the resources out there, but also grateful for donors choose and having those resources come to our district. So those are the consent agenda items for today.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Bruce makes a motion.
Second.
Ron makes a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda is approved. That brings us to communication items. Begin with administration.
Okay, so our revenues and expenditures will be reviewed in January because this is such an early board meeting since our last one that we haven't done the month-end review. And then the two things I wanted to just share with you from an administrative update is that our audio enhancement is moving forward. The system is set to arrive on or before the 16th of December. And we'll be starting the work in progress. And so during the day, we'll have, and they will be heavily marked in their EPS, who is the system who's done our cabling before. They will be in the hallways, in the corridors during the day, and then in classrooms at night. So there will be no disruption to classes. They have learned very quickly how to pay attention to the bell schedule. So if they're on a ladder and the bell rings, they know how to get out and off the ladder. So, but in all honesty, they've done a lot of work for our district over the course of years, and they understand our functioning very well. So we're excited about that. And again, I think it's a really nice opportunity, and I'm super excited about that. Our audio, and then lastly, I just want to acknowledge Rick. Today is Rick's last official meeting as a board member. So Rick, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your work as a board member, and thank you for your commitment to our students and the kids. So you're welcome. Thank you.
How many special meetings between now and January?
We might.
And then student representative, I would like to introduce Nicole Pelkey. So Nicole, welcome as a student representative. Maybe just give us, I did tell you didn't have to make a report, but maybe just tell us two of your favorite things that bring you joy. That's a hard one. I should have given you that, but what would you like us to know?
I like art and ethics.
Sweet.
Art and empathy.
Cool. All right. So welcome. We'll meet and kind of talk through. Oftentimes our other student reps have had the opportunity to watch the previous student reps give reports, and our other student representative is still on the board. She just is a manager for the boys basketball team. So winter season makes it difficult for her to be here. So welcome and thank you for being here.
Committee reports. I know the policy committee met, but that'll come up here in a minute.
Yep.
Anybody else meet? Okay, then let's go to new business, first meeting in January.
So the first meeting in January is typically the organizational meeting. And so I put out to board members to look at calendars and consider meeting on January 6th. The week of the second week of January where the board would typically meet, the new board member and I will be at the phase training for the Minnesota Association, the School Boards Association. So my recommendation would be to consider meeting on January 6th, which is the first Monday, and to hold your organizational meeting in addition to a work session. So you would have an earlier board meeting or work session in January. But it would be really up to the will of the board for what you would like to do for that January meeting.
Anybody have any thoughts about the date and time?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
Works for me, the 13th would be problematical for me.
Yeah, I make a motion to go.
Okay, Ron makes a motion to approve this date. Is there a second?
I second.
Harold seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it passes. Policy review. This is not to be voted on tonight, right? This is
Correct.
for information.
Yep.
If you want to run us through this policy.
Sure. So the reason this policy was done separately is because it was reviewed as a result of the scheduled review. But while that was happening, MSBA came out with some updates. So there's really kind of two areas that I'm going to call to attention. And let me just pass this so people can see with us. There's a lot of reference change to the first section here that's all color coded is really just putting it into alphabetical order. So there's not substantive change in there, but it is a organizational alphabetization. You'll also notice that procurement number 2 is highlighted. There's 175,000 is recommended instead of 250. And if you read the note, the federal government's increased the dollar cap for small purchases. Minnesota law requires 175,000. So it'll remain and stay at 175,000. You're also going to, so again, the strike throughs, it's moving the language and putting it back into alphabetical order. Coming down to the two areas that were discussed within the policy committee are, I'm getting there, it's right at the bottom. So one is about cybersecurity, making really a notation that school districts must take reasonable cybersecurity and other measures to safeguard our personal identities, information that the federal agencies and pass-through agencies designate as sensitive. So really what's happening is, again, this is the uniform grant guidance and this is what governs all of our federal accounts and like our federal funds. And so really what they're saying is like, you gotta have your ducks in a row for cybersecurity to make sure that the information isn't vulnerable. Okay, so they're saying you have to do it. We've done those things. Okay, so we're in a good position. The other piece, as you look down further, if we are subject to a breach or a data attack, we do have to report it. And it has to be reported, as does any other federal entity. So if you're gonna see down, again, we get down to the very bottom where it talks about our reporting requirements, there's mandatory disclosures of if we would have any violation of violation. We have mandatory disclosures around violations in the uniform grant guidance. Okay. So, any other discussion or questions?
Okay, and this will be added with the other policies that we already.
So these will sit for 20 days and then all of them will come forward in January's business meeting, not the work session, the business.
Right.
Okay.
If you have any questions, peruse it some more, read through it 10 times. And come up with any questions? Let Janelle know, okay?
Okay.
So we move on to the memorandum of understanding.
So through the READ Act, the district and Education Minnesota was required to negotiate a memorandum of agreement around compensation for the READ Act. So really what you see here in front of you today is the joint effort of the union negotiators and I sitting down and describing our past practices. So as this was sent out to the negotiating committee, it's really what we have been doing. And so this spelled it out very nicely. It actually streamlined a few things as well, where we had some kind of loose interpretation of tracking of time. This was just really nice and clean. And the Education Minnesota unit voted and approved the memorandum. So this would be just requiring board's approval today.
Are there any questions?
You said this was what we were already doing? So it's just a legal,
Yep, we had to negotiate. Yep, it's in order to use the funding that's associated with the READ Act for the staff development or the compensation of teachers. We had to have a memorandum of agreement.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any questions? If no, is there a motion?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Tausig's motion, Cheryl seconds the motion to approve the memorandum of agreement between Education Minnesota of Paynesville and ISD 1. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. We have a review of upcoming meetings. Everybody see those? Any questions about that? Now then, we're ready to close the meeting in order to evaluate the superintendent. So we'll need a motion to close the meeting.
I make a motion to close this meeting.
Gerald makes a motion.
I'll second.
Cheryl seconds.
Aye.
Closed, and it closes at 6:41.
All right, Rick. Go ahead.
Okay, is there a motion to open the meeting
I move we open the meeting.
at 7:16?
Second.
Cheryl makes a motion, Gerald seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the meeting is closed. We want to read the statement, or the meeting is open. We want to read the statement into the.
You want me to read it? Can you read it? Want me to catch it?
Go ahead.
At 6:41 PM, the board closed the meeting to evaluate the superintendent. We are happy with her performance and look forward to her growth. Moving forward, we're going to maintain an annual review.
Okay. I think we're ready to adjourn.
I'll get those motions in seconds on the recording.
Okay.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
I second.
Moves, Gerald seconds, and we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.